Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade, welcoming Sean Teale, who stars in SyFy's terrific new show, Incorporated. It's executive produced by the dynamic duo Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and we're chatting all about it. Check it out. Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade. Sean Teale, congratulations, man. Your show looks really great. Incorporated. SyFy's making a huge push with it. You got two pretty good executive producers behind it.
Yeah, sort of.
So you guys gonna rock or what?
I hope so. I just hope it works out. You're exactly right. We do have some great people on board, and whether or not they should have trusted this idiot British guy to do it or not is a totally different question. But they've made that mistake now, so now I get to run with it.
They're screwed. Contracts
yeah.
aside,
Oh, heads are going to roll. Loads of people are going to lose their jobs.
You know what I love is you look at this show and it takes place in 2074 and corporations have taken over. We have no more government. And I start thinking, I don't know that this is complete fiction. This could happen, right?
It's getting a lot closer. 2016 brought us a lot closer than we thought.
Donald Trump is president now.
It's kind of insane.
Maybe Matt and Ben had some insight into what's going on.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, Alex and David Pastor, the brothers, and Ted Humphries as well. I think they're a weird little bunch of genie eyes that cumulatively have just sort of scoped out exactly what's going to happen at all times, because the technology and the effects of climate change that the planet is going through are all sort of derived exactly from where we're going in 50 years. It's all in development, it's all in research now, or it's already on its way, rolling out. So they kind of just painted this world that's frighteningly close. We shot the pilot and we had a bunch of news articles about Canada and other countries building walls to stop illegal immigrants, and then like a month later Donald Trump said the stuff about the wall and we all went, oh my God, our show is going to be relevant. It was a nightmare.
That's a good thing though. That means people are going to want to watch it.
Yeah, people are going to watch it and then go like, what on earth? Why am I doing this to myself? It's just as bad out there. No, actually we did some press stuff for SyFy a while ago, and some of it was like, well, now that the election's over, why don't we watch the future world? It was like, no, I can't say that. I can't get people to tune in on the basis that the future is screwed. So let's watch something really awful. But yeah.
So your character, Ben Larson, he's living in between two worlds. There's red zones, there's green zones. The good people, the people who've got something going on, the 1% are in the green zones.
Yes.
And Ben starts out in the red zone and figuring his way out in the green zone. Walk me through the rest of the story.
He starts as this little climate refugee child called, hopefully little because he's a child, called Aaron. And Aaron is displaced by global warming, and mass migration sort of occurs with a lot of people trying to escape the coasts and lands falling into the sea and things, or dust bowl states becoming, states becoming dust bowl states and just turning into desert. And he meets this girl and loses her. He loses her 6 years on. He finds her again and he forms this relationship with her when he's 18 years old, and they fall in love. And she's from the red zones. She really struggles. She's in a really difficult financial position with her family, and she's trying to look after them whilst also being the brains and trying to get these college scholarships and things. And she sells herself to Spiga to get her family out of trouble when Aaron's been desperately trying to do it his own way by other means. And so he says, you know what, I'll find you and I'm going to get you out of there, because she's been sold to this company and she's sort of at their beck and call, at their whim to do whatever, whether it's sex clubs or servicing of any executives or whatever. So he knows how bad the life is going to be for her in the green zone. It's not really what it's painted out to be. So he reinvents himself, becomes Ben, and takes him on.
Tell me about Ben.
He's infinitely cooler and smarter than I am.
So you're definitely acting.
That was the moment we knew. Yeah, that and playing a 30-year-old American when I'm a 24-year-old Brit. Yeah, it was.
How hard is that, by the way? I'm the worst with accents. Can you go in and out?
Yeah, I go in and out. I'm one of those really annoying people that just sort of goes like, talks exactly like this, and then we'll have to sit down. And
go to an American accent. I want to see this.
You're going to ask me to do an interview with you in an American accent, but
Holy crap, you did
annoying.
do it.
And we'd also like this dance monkey dance. What just happened there was dance monkey dance, which is terrifying. And I put myself in that position, Arthur. So it's my bad. No, you know what? It's I think when I was a kid I mimicked instead of acted. When I was a child, I didn't put on plays for my parents when I was 5 years old. But I think drove my mum to insanity by mimicking everything that I saw. So I ended up just sort of, I'm going to put myself in a position where you're going to ask me to do something else, so I'm going to stay away.
Trust me, I'm actively listening.
Great. So I ended up sort of mimicking people or mimicking shows or mimicking accents. And I think in Britain we're quite open to other cultures and other sort of programming. We get a lot of your programming. So we've been watching Americans since we were children.
You know, you and I were on the same wavelength because I was going to say mimic me, which is what you were thinking. You were going to open yourself up to.
Mimicking something.
You're going to be like, well, with a big Northeast Philly accent. This show looks really cool. So you get to work with Hayes Burt. Dennis is one of the coolest dudes on the planet.
Yeah,
Julia Ormond is a phenomenal actress. Being a young actor, you're around these people. You and I were just talking about it. I'm interviewing people like Michael Shannon last night. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy is so talented. Do you find yourself being almost a fanboy on set sometimes with actors of that caliber?
Yeah, you feel totally inept. I think a lot of it comes from just the time and experience. And I think a few years ago I would have dealt with this job way worse than I did now. And I think in the future I'll deal with it better and handle pressures and challenges because you've just done it. But yeah, you do. I mean, Legends of the Fall, and you got Dennis. Dennis was in Heat. Dennis did Heat, man. Dennis did Heat. That's it. 3 words. Dennis did Heat. It was like, oh my God, Dennis did Heat. So you do, and their presences as well, and you can feel all that experience, and you can sort of taste all that ability in the room. So when they come in and do it, you just have to ride off them. I think, you know what, there's some other guys in the show I have to talk about as well. Damon Herriman, an Australian actor who's just in Quarry. He's played an amazing part in Quarry and a whole bunch of other shows. He's a great Australian export. He's probably one of the most amazing actors I've ever worked with, or ever will work with. He's 10 foot rooted into the ground every scene you do with him. And we have a great Canadians in like David Hewlett and Ian Tracy who have done.
I love how you're giving nationalities before naming them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're a global populace here, and we don't like xenophobia. So Ian Tracy and David as well. They're a lot of the older guys, not that old, but just older than young.
Being a young guy, you now are leading a show. I mean, this show is really you. It's all about your character. Scary to you? I mean, when you end up getting the part, you've got Matt Damon and Ben Affleck behind you, the power couple. Is it scary to you? Like, do you go home and you're like, what did I just get myself into?
That's literally exactly what I said after I hung up the phone. I got a call saying, I was in Toronto actually where we shot. And I was with my girlfriend, my friends at the time, and I got a call saying that I'd gotten the part, and I knew that my mum wasn't.
Did you have any inkling, by the way? Were you like, you know what, I nailed that audition. I've got a shot here.
I think we had a really great process in the first place, and everyone had sort of, you can see when minds are syncing up, you can feel when you're sort of up against a brick wall or not, and I think we were all just getting along. But I went into the final screen tests at the networks, and you've got like executives just reading their thing and they don't really pay any attention and you're sort of in front of like 40 to 50 people doing this thing and you're going like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. And there was some beautiful guys in that room as well, some good old like Christian Bale looking American Psycho, all in suits and stuff. I was like, I'm there. I literally called my manager. I was in a shirt. I went, I didn't wear a suit. Why didn't I wear a suit? It's like, it's not dress up. And I was like, no, but these guys have worn suits and I haven't worn one. So if I lose the job because I didn't wear a suit, I'm going to kick myself. So I obviously panicked. But the moment I got it, I went, I'm really hungry, as most actors are, incredibly...
literally and figuratively.
Yeah, I mean, give me anything and everything. When it comes to getting a job, I think it's a very competitive industry. And the moment you then get given it, you go, I've forgotten everything that I know how to do. I can't put words together. I don't know how to act. I'm going to be awful. It's just the response to being given it after you get it, So I think that was my first response was, oh my God, idiots for hiring me. And then idiot me for taking it on because I might balls it up.
You've done other TV shows. You've done Rain. You've done Mr. Selfridge. I mean, this is as far away from those shows as you can possibly get. You get on set for this thing. I mean, it looks like a movie. I'm watching the trailer right now before we got started. I'm like, holy crap, this looks like a movie. I mean, that's where TV's moving. The cinematic possibilities are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
What's it like for you? You're on set for this. Blow your mind?
Yeah, it did, always. I did an immense amount of mapping and planning for this job anyway, because so much happens to him so quickly. You don't really have time to get lost in the prettiness of it all. But and we're all there, and also we're all there watching the ugliness of it. So we're all there at like 5 a.m, and these beautiful doors that slide open is a guy stuck to it with a broomstick shoveling it open and close. It's not all as slick as it could be. So we get all the nasty, all the bare bones behind it all. But it's amazing to see the final product. It's really hard to watch, and I'll always struggle with watching it. But But the DOP and the guys, they made 10 episodes of film. They made 10 movies.
It has gotten to that. Is it blowing I sit there and I'm like, we have the line has been so blurred at this point between just gorgeous movies and gorgeous TV shows. They're equal now. It's crazy.
They absolutely are, and that's why there's a huge swathe of talent moving to TV and Netflix and Amazon and all those guys giving these huge budgets for things. And like, you know, we make an episode in 8 days of real time, 8 real days. We make 45 minutes or so. And that counts from having hundreds of crew members that need to be fed all the way through to like the 50, 60 departments that get a job done, the amount of dialogue you have, the amount of time you have to do it in. It's a crazy logistical nightmare, and somehow these people do it. And then because they do it so well, they ask for they get told they have to do it for less money in less time. Soon we're going to film whole episodes in days. It's
Welcome
be
to
crazy.
the business, man.
Yep, it's carnage.
Obviously, having Matt and Ben's name behind this adds so much credibility. But what was their involvement? What is it like to have Matt Damon and Ben Affleck as executive producers?
I messaged. This question's always been one that I was aware I was always going to face, or I have to come up with, and what's great is that I don't have to particularly lie about them. They were there from the very beginning. I mean, they're very much workaholics from everything that they've done, and they're very hands-on.
Why they're so successful.
It very much translates that way, doesn't it? It seems that comes across, and they also happen to be incredibly nice to work with. So they were there through the casting process. They signed off on who they want and who they don't want, and that was a big help. And then Matt was doing Bourne at the time, but when we were doing the pilot, Ben watched and edited and gave notes on bits and pieces and storytelling, whatever else, and said some kind things. And we sort of tried to work out what we could do if we got picked up for a full series. But also executive, you know, they're the busiest executive producers you could ask for. So their involvement's been great, and the people around their team around them have been wonderful as well. Jennifer and Margaret Upholstery have been hands-on the whole time. So they've been there, and that's because, you know, some people get attached to 25 shows a year. I mean, you go like, how is J.J. Abrams producing 25 sci-fi shows in a year?
And there's some he's intimately involved in, like
he's
what you're describing. And there's some that, hey, we have J.J. Abrams' name on this.
And he has a phenomenal work ethic of all people. He has a great one, but it is hard to be on 40 shows at once, right? So
it's literally sometimes I get an email like, this looks good, and he says, great, it does. You know? Yeah. I would imagine. I could be wrong, but I would imagine.
But his oversight and whatever else is some of the best you could get. So, I mean, same with Ben and Matt.
Being a young guy, is it something where you say to yourself, this is the career I'd like to have. This is where I'd like to see myself 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, and I'm going to craft this path for myself? Or is it like, I'm happy I got a job, then eventually I want another job? How do you look at your future?
It's still just trying to get hired. Yeah, I still feel like I'm pulling wool over people's eyes, and the moment that goes away, and at the moment I did the same with my agents in LA 6 years ago. I did this every time there's some new step has been sort of mounted, some new hurdle has been sort of jumped. I then go like, these idiots, what's wrong with them? And I need to then prove them right for giving me the chance. And I think that's going to continue the same way. I can't look that far ahead without just worrying about what's distinctly in front of me. I just want to keep on working.
Have there been moments where you've thought about giving up, where you're like, I'm not going to be able to lead a show one day?
Yeah, a few times actually. There was a few times. There was one time a few years ago when I think I'd had 3 months off, 4 months off, which in the grand scheme of things is not a very long time to not work. But it was about 4 months in, and I'd been effectively signed on this new show as the lead of the show and on the BBC, and then it fell through, and one man sort of contradicted and lied and did some horrible and then it ended up going completely wrong, and I just broke. I completely lost all my composure, and I freaked out, and my agent had to come from me. We sort of sat down and we talked about it, and it was like, I can't. It's a really horrible existence. You know, we can't complain. We're working. Our job is our passion, and that's something that a lot of people can't say they get to do. And so I'm entirely aware that we have to tread on eggshells when we complain about things. It's not right to, when we're so fortunate in comparison. But that doesn't mean it's not hard. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. So that was really rough. And then I have a place that I go to if I ever bum out about work that reminds me
bar?
That yeah the bottom of a bottle. Yeah, exactly. No, it's actually it happened randomly once. I went to Liverpool Street Station, and Liverpool Street Station's like a really, really busy. It's like Grand Union here. I mean, it's just crazy amount of people, and I was sort of thinking about not doing it at the time, and I'd gone through Liverpool Street Station just sort of by chance, and I just watched the rat race, like the absolute carnage of like men sweating in ill-fitted suits, eating sausage rolls on the go, trying to get to the job that they clearly can't stand, to work for a boss that probably doesn't like them, to make a fictional currency that shouldn't be worth anything, living for the week. And I just like all this, do you know what I mean? Eating breakfast on the go, because if they're late, then they're going to get fired. You're like, there's so much more to, it's so horrible that we have to do this to survive. But I'd rather do my job and deal with rejection and hardship than deal with the carnage that I'm seeing in front of me now. So I go to Liverpool Street Station and I watched the rat race and I realised that I couldn't. I'm hyperactive anyway. You don't want to coop me up in an office. You don't want to put me in a booth.
You were telling me you're going to be at the UN, by the way. How cool is that? The show is getting screened at some cool places.
Yeah, that is an absolute dream. Actually, we get to do a PSA for climate change and try and the TV show is a TV show before it's anything else, and it's meant to be entertaining and it's meant to be enjoyable to watch, and hopefully people like it. And secondly, then anything that people take from it would be great. And if we can help in any way, then so be it. And the UN very kindly want to screen our show, and because of the future world that we're showing and corporate greed. I can't say the word, and climate change and sort of income inequality and status and everything else. So luckily, it sort of resonated with them, and we get to go to the UN, it's the United Nations. They're saving lives and being great people. So,
final question. What do you think the underlying currency and meaning of this show is? Obviously, it's about a guy navigating his way to save the love of his life. But what's the true meaning of the show?
I think a lot of it has to do with family. I think a lot of it is what would you do to protect your family and how far would you go? All of that sort of sits within this world where having more doesn't necessarily mean you have more, in a sense. You might have more things at your disposal. You might have more financial benefits to your existence, but you lose a lot of things like humanity and everything else. So it's about the people around you and the family that you will have forever. And you'll see a lot of the characters in the show, how they react to different situations because of the way that they protect their cubs or the way that they feel about their lovers. It's a hugely sort of diverse look at a wide range, people of different ethnicities, ages, genders, dealing with different scenarios, and there'll be something in there that can hopefully people can relate to in some way.